So the team combined 655 hours in the month of October. Clearly, not having employees isn't hindering me from helping a lot of organizations. And part of it is, what do you need to do to focus on having a more sort of productive lifestyle, and what digital tools will help you get there? Not a big sci-fi fan, but had to work in this statement. It's not where we are, it's when we are. Because a lot of the team is actually in multiple different locations. One of the constraints we have, up until now, not having an office, so how do we have in-person meetings? We don't. And well, there wouldn't be that much of a point, because out of the 7 or 8 of us in a given month, we're only overlapping our time for about 2 hours of the day. First product shout out is to time.is. And the point here is that the internet didn't just make it possible for you to work anywhere, it made it possible for you to work with anyone. What tools are there to help with productivity? If you're not using Dropbox yet, I feel like I've done you a service. One thing about it is surprisingly social. Have you ever thought of your Dropbox account as a social network? The fact that you've invited different people to different folders, some have access to this, some have access to that, 4 people are overlapping on your general folder. It's one thing to think about. And how much is it useful for a very large organization? Very. It's the one thing that the major disadvantage that a lot of big charities have is they use a local area network, and then as soon as they want to deal with someone off-site, oh, how do you access the H drive? I don't know. And if they started with the internet in mind, this wouldn't have been a problem. And I hope it's been about 10 years since you've lost your files that you were working on for a big presentation, because you're using Dropbox and there's version tracking. Playfully, I used to call it gray hair protected, just in case anyone had one of those moments and deleted all my files, I could always go back and revise it. And if you're like me, you can review files on your iProduct, because Dropbox has their mobile app, whereas your Office LAN connection, the hardware built into the pre-internet age, is very hard to share via iPad, iPhone, or whatnot. And there's a funny comment that I have is, like, sometimes a browser-free experience is a good thing. I'm saying I love Dropbox because I really dislike Google Drive. And one of the limitations of it being, I remember the first experience downloading Google Drive and seeing that it's kind of like Dropbox. Then I go to click on my files and it takes me back to the Google Docs experience. And I think there's a psychological limitation to the usefulness of Google Docs. And if you're going to hawk a product, I would suggest Dropbox over that. And just so you know, I have 21.5 gigabytes of free space. I've still never had to pay. And that goes back to the social network concept, is they really pay you to get others to sign up. And if you're still a skeptic about Dropbox, I grabbed some of their information. You're not meant to see it. This is me being lazy and putting my notes on the screen. 50 million active users, 1 billion files shared every 48 hours. So can they scale to match your needs? Are they a real company yet? Yes. If they weren't, there would be issues already. And speaking of paying customers in 175 countries, I have never had to deal with someone who's never heard of Dropbox. However, I have struggled and evangelized for Trello, and I'm going to do it again today. Trello. Put your hand up if you've heard of Basecamp. Basecamp, clearly a project management tool and built for getting that project through and done. And they've made a lot of iterations recently. One of the points that I was going to say to Basecamp is that they have Trello has a mobile app, and I believe as of today, so does Basecamp. So not necessarily a major point in Trello's favor. But one of the things about Trello is that as you can see here, it is a bit intentionally blurred out because I don't want you to see everything that we're working on right now. But it has a function of, this is a board, this is the Frontier Consulting board. This is our list, concept, purgatory, content, design. We're working our way through a production line. The thing that Trello allowed me to do is design however the hell I wanted those lists to look like. If I wanted to be working on, done, almost finished. The whole concept being that it's very free form, which is a pro and a con in a way, because however your mind works, go ahead. However the organization gets things done. If you want this to be donor prospects, if you want to be the cases working through the system, it doesn't have to be just the fundraising or marketing team. This board system could be however you want it to be used. You could be planning out a wedding, you could be working on one website and use the board, which I often do, so create a separate board for a very large project. One example that I might do is all the primary navigation pages would go along here. We would have the schedule done out along the side, and I would point out, fix the issue here, assign it to this person, put a due date. As we get closer to the due date, it goes yellow or red, sends notifications. I wouldn't say it's necessarily dead simple, but it allows you to determine how a project should work versus saying there's a specific model for project management, follow it, which is a little bit more of the Basecamp model. And if you're like me, a lot of people start out thinking that they don't do project management, so they shouldn't get a project managed software. And one great thing of this, again, is it's free. So far, we're not paying anything from the applications I've suggested. What else have I said here? Their development rate, it's very fun to watch their Trello board because they show you what's in progress, what's in testing, what ideas you can vote on, and you can basically see that every week something's changing. Not necessarily great for individual productivity. So think of this as, how do I view what the team is working on and how do we communicate for it? And one of the things you should never be doing for team communication is email. All right? So email is great, I love it, but don't do an entire project and reply all. This is an incredible way to have a communication with 2 people here, 5 people on this card, versus 5 emails ago, someone said this, and I'm having a hard time keeping track of it. Make sure to think of when things are a project, use project management software. You will be more productive. Yeah, well, part of it is you can sort of define your meaning for it. So this feels like a lesson in subjectivity. But this board is just defined as our general board. This list is the topic area, like content or design. And then the specific card is like a small project that we've chosen. So this is not a 5-minute task, like tell me your name. This is write an e-blast, sort of thing. And then once the e-blast is written, it might be moved over here for someone else to design. And then I believe their final review, tech, that sort of thing. Next, to do. Another free app. So far, you're in the whole $0 per month.